comunidad Maguén David y a su presidente, el señor Aldo Chacalo, por su apoyo en esta importante ocasión. Anualmente, en el mes de noviembre, se lleva a cabo un evento de reconocimiento dedicado a los soldados que han sido heridos en batallas en Israel. En Keren Hayesod nos unimos en esta ocasión junto con la comunidad judía de México para recibir a estos grandes héroes, escuchar su historia y entender la magnitud de la participación de cada uno de ellos.
Pero sí estoy segura que se necesita muchísimo valor para atreverse a defender a Medinat Israel y por consecuencia a todos nosotros. Tengo una pregunta para cada uno de ustedes, quien la quiera contestar. ¿Es un sacrificio? ¿Es una obligación? ¿Es un privilegio? ¿Qué significa el enlistarse en las fuerzas de defensa israelíes?
Good evening, everybody. The meaning for me, first of all, is defending our country. I mean, each youth, each man reached 18 years old is supposed to go to the army. And the name of our army is Israeli Defense Forces, which means, first of all, we have to defend our country. And unfortunately to us, we are all over survived by a lot of enemies who want to kill us. And I will quote Avido Kalani and say that we have no chance to lose. Because if we lose, we don't have a place. So it is not a privilege, it's a duty. And this duty means that we have to sacrifice ourselves if needs to protect our country. And I always say that we are protecting our country, your country.
You want me to answer the same question?
If you have a different answer, if you have another point of view.
Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. Yaron Porter. So, for me to say serve in the army, it's every time I put the uniform, I was proud. Like, my father was a lone soldier from South Africa, and this is how I was grow up. Like, this is how I got educated. To serve your country the best you can and to protect your country. And I had the privilege and the luck to serve in a unit that literally protecting the city I came from. Like in this particular terror attack, I'm fighting with ISIS terrorists on the border with Egypt. 25 minutes behind my back, my mother starting preparation for Shabbat dinner. So for me, it's not only to be proud, and it's not only a privilege, it's, first of all, it's my duty. Second of all, it's like, I don't see other choice. I don't see something else I can do with my life that will make me proud, like when I putting my uniform and protecting my city, my people, and my parents.
Gracias. ¿Cómo se sobrevive una herida de guerra física, emocional y espiritualmente? ¿Y cómo se regresa? ¿Cómo regresaron ustedes a la vida después de haber peleado entre la vida y la muerte?
Shortly to tell you about my life, as I decided to serve in the army at least 12 years, and on my 11th year I got injured and stopped the rehabilitation for almost a year. And I asked my wife, what should I do? Should I finish my 12th year and quit the army, or to continue? And she said, do whatever you feel like to do. I'm going to support you. And by saying those words, I feel that I have back at home, and the recovery became faster, and the motivation to serve my country is huge. The physical wounded can be healed, because the body is overcoming almost everything. And the main problem, I think, today is the post-trauma, which comes later. And thanks God, I took it right on time and to take care of myself with a lot of help from Misad Bitachon, the security Ministry of Defense. And we have a lot of programs, and we have some foundations that are helping us in a lot of ways to recover.
Okay, so my injury was post-trauma from this battle that you just saw. I think in life in general, you have two choices. You can feel sorry for yourself, drown, and be like depressed and go to bad places, drugs, alcohol, or you can decide to stand up and to fight back and to take your disadvantage and make advantage out of it. And as Israeli, as Jewish nation with our history, I don't think we have another choice. We can't feel sorry for ourselves. We need to stand up, especially where I took my injury is to explain and help and nurture other people that got PTSD. How did I walk away from it? How did I recover? So the way I treat myself, the way I overcome PTSD was to help others and to help them, and then I need to be a role model, so I gotta be strong for them, and it helped me to recover.
Gracias, porque...
I would like to just tell a very short story about the recovering. When I got injured, I got 2 bullets in my left leg, and I did an operation to take out the bullet from my hip. And at that time, at the hospital, we had only two girls. And I remember that I stood. I saw my wife with my 2 daughters. One of them was in a baby carrier, and the other one ran towards me, raising her hands up, and asking me, raise me up. And I couldn't do it. And this is some of the motivation that I promised to myself. It's going to be the last time that one of my kids will ask me something, and I won't do that.
Pongámonos de pie para recibir en este escenario, por favor, al general brigadier Avigdor Kalani.
I'm very happy to be here, and you listen to my friend tell the story, what happened in our country, and we just arrived yesterday, and we are happy to share with you a little bit from our gray hair. I know that most of you speak English, and it would be easier. I thought maybe I speak Hebrew because all of you visited in Israel, and you know Hebrew so well, and some days. Anyway, I continue in English. You look my face, and you said, this man come from Cuba. No, I'm not from Cuba. I'm from Sweden. We have races here. I used to be blonde and blue eyes. Yes. You know, in 1925, my parents, they were 1 year old. They came from Yemen. And they grew up, my mother and my father, they grew up in Keren Hayesod in Israel, in Tel Aviv. And during the years, they moved to Nestiona. As a place, I was born there in 1944. I'm a very old guy. And but looking good, yes, yes. Very handsome. This is my wife, she told me all the time. Anyway, we grew up in Nestiona. In 1948, when Ben-Gurion decided to create our country, in 14 May 1948. My father, all the enemies around us start to attack Israel, 7 countries. And my father rejoined the army and he fought a year for the country. And after that, in 49, he came back home and he said, Victor, Avi, he called me at home, I have a present for you. I asked, which kind of present you gave me? He said, from today, you have a homeland. From today, we have a country. We have a border. We have a flag. We have everything. And you know what? He was a manager of the synagogue. He's going to be quiet for 40 years. It was written in the Bible. We have joke in our country, just give us 2 weeks quiet. And we don't have it. And when he gave me the present, he didn't know that he is going to fight again in 1956. And when he gave me the present, he didn't know that he is going to fight again in 67 war. And in the middle of Sinai, he found a tank in the main road on fire. He said, oh, I'm sorry for the crew that was in this tank. He didn't know that I was there. He didn't know that he's going to fight again in 69, 70 near the Suez Canal. And what he didn't know at that time that he gave me the present, that he is going to fight again in 1973 with 3 children. 2 of them didn't born when he fought already for the country. And one of them, in the middle of honeymoon, my brother was killed. Do you know any family in the world that a father go to fight together with his kids? No, just in Israel. And this is a tradition, and we are not complaining about it. I studied in Nestiona. After that I studied in old school, and they teach me how to be mechanic. I didn't want to be mechanic. And I asked to be a fighter. They found a very handsome guy and they sent me to the pilot course. If you don't understand my joke, I will quit immediately. I said that I'm a handsome guy and nobody smiled. It means that I'm still handsome. Okay. Anyway, they sent me to the pilot course and they found that I'm a deaf in the right side. I didn't tell anybody. I don't need the right hearing because I lost it when I was 5 years old. And they kicked me out. They found that I belong to the left wing because I listened gently. Oh, I could feel the smile. I had to be a paratrooper and they found that I have a flat feet. Until now, I don't know how the sickness from Poland come to Yemenite house. Anyway, and they asked me, would you like to go to be mechanic of tank? He said, no, I'm going to be a fighter. Which unit you would like? Think, whatever you want, just one request, don't send me to the tank. He said, no problem, go to the bus. I asked the driver where we are going. He said, tank battalion. And I became tank battalion. I was a soldier in tank room, tank commander, sent me to the officer schools, and after that, I decided to stay in the army in the last moment because they sent me to Germany to study the pattern tanks. Now I'm going with you to 67 war. 15 of May, Independence Day, 67. I was before that 2 months near the Golan High. And suddenly we heard in the news that Nasser is going to invade to our country. Nasser, the president of Egypt. We start mobilization We closed the schools, factories, and everybody in Israel is a soldier. I had a company, I was a company commander, 14 tank, 1-4. I moved to Beersheba and I drove all the night quietly to the border with Gaza Strip. And I remember that we waited near the border for 3 weeks and we didn't know what to do. My soldiers came to me and said, "Sir, we don't have a mask to protect ourselves. And the Egyptians, they use gas against us. They will use." "How do you know?" I asked them. "Of course they use gas in Egypt." I said, "You can cover yourself with something else." In the 5th of June, remember this day, is an important day because all the tourists, what we have, all the problems start from this day. 5th of June, 8 o'clock in the morning. I listened to the siren and the code was said, "Sadin Adon." And it's a message to start to fight against them. And I drove in the first tank. Behind me, 13 tank, 14 tank, all the company. I came close to the border, excited. 23 years old, a year before we get married. And I was looking back and tried to send in the field in front of me platoon leader, and I couldn't. I couldn't send him in the front because I was curious about him. And I crossed the border, and big column behind me. And after 500, something like that, exploded under my tank, and the change cut to 2 pieces. I jumped to another tank, and I drove 1 kilometer, and something happened under my tank, exploded in the second tank. I feel like it's a shame for me what happened. All the crew behind me, I'm the first Israeli tank. I was the chief of staff at that time, no chief, I'm the lieutenant, but I didn't have any communication with anybody. I jumped to the third one, and I found myself in a huge town on the name Khan Yunis. Gaza Strip is Gaza, Khan Yunis, and Rafah in the center. In the main road, hundreds of soldiers, Egyptians, waited for us. And they shot and they tried to stop the first Israeli tank. And I was excited, of course. I shot all over. At the end of this town, I found invest to a place where they call Gush Katif. And after that, I moved to a huge town of the name Rafah, and I traveled all over. I didn't have any infantry with the artillery with me, Air Force with me, engineer with me, nothing. Just Israeli tank. After a year, the army came to me and said, "Victor, which way you are going to go?" I said, "I'm going back." I said, "What?" They asked. I said, "No, I'm going back." But medical profile moved down to 22, something like that. I'm 73, disabled. I said, "I'm going back. Give me some time and I will go back." During the years of it, I became the battalion commander. I had 44 tanks in Sinai, and the name of the battalion called Oz, 77. Oz is courage, 77 in the 7th Brigade. Everybody talk about Yom Kippur, this is a surprise. Or it's not surprise. It's not surprise. How come? 10 days before Yom Kippur, we have Rosh Hashanah. Everybody know that. In Rosh Hashanah, they called me and they said, "Take all the crew from Sinai all the way to the Golan Heights because it's going to be a war in the Golan Heights." 10 days before, 44 tanks. I'm the commander. And we didn't know the Golan Heights at that time. Golan Heights is completely different. We took the time to be ready to the war. The war started on Saturday Yom Kippur. In the morning, my commander, Janos Bengal, he passed away, sorry for that. And he called me and he said, Victor, today is the war. I asked him, what time? He said, 6 o'clock. I ran to the synagogue that I built from very old building, and I talked with the soldiers like I'm talking to you, and I told them, the war is today. Immediately move to the tanks, and at 12 o'clock be ready. Before I left, I said, I forgot something. You go to eat. And the Orthodox soldiers start to smile. What? You're a commander, but not God. You give order to eat. And I took an apple in my hand, and I told him, look at me. From 10 years old, I pray, I have never touched food. And I start to eat in the front of them. If I can eat, you can eat. The war started in 2 o'clock afternoon. Many aircraft bomb us, and we tried to protect the Golan Heights. Golan Heights is just 20 kilometers wide and 90 kilometers long. All the Golan Heights is volcanic area, many stones we have to study. We came from the desert, we don't know exactly what's going on in Golan Heights. The war started, and they start to move. We divided the area between 2 brigades. I'm not going to write a book now, but just to give you a little bit from that experience. And they came close to the border, and I realized that they have better tanks than us. I knew all my life that we have the best tank, the best crew in the world. Their tank is a T-62. The silhouette is 2 meters and 20 centimeters high. Our tank is a Centurion, 3 meters and 20 centimeters. It's a lot. They have infrared system in every tank. They can shoot with 4 kilometers without any obstacles, and they can hit the target. We can shoot just 1.5 kilometers, no more than that. And they kept the ratio between them and us almost 10 Syrian tanks against 1 tank Israeli. And during the night, they came and they attacked us, and all the tank, all my tank over there. I sent many tanks to another area, and I couldn't stop them. Tried to think about the commanders, the 19 years old, they called me and said, sir, we cannot stop them, we cannot stop them. And I didn't have any answer for that. I tried to shoot, give them order to shoot to the valley, what we call during the years the valley of the Tills. I knew that if we will stop them until the morning, we will win. I found 5 meters in the front of me a Syrian tank, and I didn't know that he's a Syrian, and I shot him. And I found 7 meters on the right side of me, and I shot him too. And I saw the commander on fire. It almost killed me. We waited in the morning. In the morning they arrived like 130 tanks. We've been like 10 tanks in this area. And they started to shoot, and they killed most of my commanders. When tanks stayed behind the hills, that's the cannon can see the other side. And most of my commanders were killed. 19% of the soldiers who were killed in the 77th Battalion is commandos. They are commandos. We thought that it was difficult. In the south, it was terrible. The brigade commander, Barak, he been shown his name, he was killed, full colonel. His deputy, Israeli, was killed. The Hebron Mountains, it's the strongest bunker in the world, and they invade with helicopter, and they destroyed all over. And they found And they got the present from Israel at that time. What's the present? They got all the frequency radio, all the code map. Many soldiers, they know about the army better than the chief of staff. Many intelligent soldiers. And of course, and the top of the mountain is 2 kilometers high. And they can see all the Golan Heights. Our Air Force, the best Air Force in the world, they lost 25 aircraft in the first day. And we saw them. And we didn't have any umbrella to protect us. Many aircraft, they came and bombed us. In my tank, 3 aircraft, they bombed my tank and almost killed me. Artillery shell, they shot thousands all over. On Monday, we fought all the time. On Monday, I looked to the western direction and I saw a big storm coming from Damascus, and I didn't know what is there. And suddenly I saw hundreds of tanks coming to the area that I was located with my tanks at the 7th Brigade. I was 1 battalion, the 7th Brigade. I realized they are going to accomplish the mission because all the Golan Heights, they invade already to all the Golan Heights. And they have a mission to come in my area that we stand around. And I started to shoot. And some of them, they ran to the south, and I took half of my battalion. I ran 7 kilometers to the south, and I shot him, and they stopped. I didn't know why. All the night, I saw many aircraft bombing the first line, and I realized the main combat is going to be tomorrow morning. I was with 7 tanks, far away from the Valley of the Tears, tried to stop them not to come behind us. And in the morning, I listened to the voice of my brigade commander. He said, "Start to withdraw, start to withdraw." He asked the people, my half battalion, if there was in the top of the hills, from the Valley of the Tears hill, to run away 4 kilometers back because they couldn't stop them anymore. And he called me with a 7 tank and to build the second line 4 kilometers behind. When I arrived, I saw 8 helicopters with commando above my head, and they landed behind me 2 kilometers. And they closed the main road. Now we cannot send back to the hospital all the casualties. Now we cannot get more ammunition because the main road is closed and all the truck cannot come to us anymore. Many artillery shell, aircraft bombing, and Israeli soldiers running away. In this moment when I was on the hills, he called me back. And he said, "Victor, I changed my mind, leave the second line, move to the first line, and try to stop them there because you know the area." I started to move, and he called me and he said, "Victor, by the way, how many tanks do you have?" I know if I'm going to tell you the truth, the Syrians listen to my voice and they know that. And I told him in Aramaic, I told him, "I'm going to lie to you. This is a language that only Jewish people know." And I told him, "Here is a Victor, it's Lashon Sagina, or if you know that. And here is a Victor, I have with me 40 tanks. No, I got another one, 41, I'm in my way to Block Range." And I was alone with my tank. I asked the 7th tank to wait behind me and I would operate them. And I moved forward and I saw on the top of the hills that I have to go there, few Syrian tanks, and I decided to go to the left to come from the side. Suddenly, I found 4 tanks, Syrian tank, in the front of me, 25 meters, exactly like this theater. I saw their faces. I was surprised how to arrive at the second day. And I looked straight to my eyes. I looked at them, and I shot all of them. I couldn't, after that, talk. And the commander called me and said, Victor, you're in charge. Which means all the area is belong to you, and you're the commander. And I ran and I stopped here, this is the hill, and this position. And I saw all the Syrian side. I was in shock. I saw 160 something like that, maybe more, maybe less, running all the way to the hills. If they would come to these hills, they will run to the Galilee. Nobody can stop them. And close to me, like 10 tanks in small valley, 50 meters, I saw like 8 or 10 tanks, and I shot all of them. And I called to my commander, Janos Bergara, I called him, and I said, send immediately every tank that you have in the area to support us. And he called to battalion that started with 36 tanks, survived 8, and he called him and he sent him to support me. The commander came close to me and I said, this is your area, stop them here, because I have to run to bring tanks to invade to another area, to attack them. When I moved, he got a fire and he was killed, the commander, and 5 tanks was on fire. And I didn't know what to do because all the counterattack, they came and most of them, they were killed by enemy. Suddenly I saw another tank come close to me and I told him, take my place and stop them in the valley and I have to run. When I moved, he said, sir, I'm sorry. I said, what's the problem? I don't have any ammunition anymore. He said, the Syrians don't know that. Stay and everybody can see you. And I moved with my tanks. This is the first line, this is the second line. And I found on the middle the 7th tank of mine, and maybe 2 or 3 tanks around. And I had 2 options, to go back and to go to the front. And I decided I was the only person in the world that knew what going here. And I decided to move forward. And I used my flags to show them that I'm here. And my tank was a big number, number 10, and everybody can see me, and I give orders to move forward. Nobody moved. And again, and nobody moved. And I realized maybe they don't listen to my radio frequency, and I move all of them to my radio frequency, like I'm company commander. And they listen to me, and they start to move. Another commander close to me, Emmy, and we together moved, and the rest tanks didn't move. And after that, I decided to use the last weapon that I have. It is the spirit of our nation. And I talked with my soldiers, and I say, look, the Syrian soldiers, how they fight so well. Look, the motivation so high. And then I screamed, what happened to us? We are Jew, we are better than them. I was eating chicken in my unit. Chicken is not polo. Chicken is a man that they frame. This is the American language. And I said, if you want to join me, join. And I start to move. And I pray to the God, God, please help us to be at the top of the hills before they will arrive. We arrived. The valley was dark. Hundreds of tanks was there. We started to shoot like crazy. And I think my gunner, with my crew, they destroyed more than 25 tanks. Beside come my friend, Yossi Ben Hanan, with 11 tanks from 4 kilometers aside, and he shot him. The end of this combat was quiet. Many soldiers running. All the tank was fired. They ran to Damascus. And I tried to count them, because somebody promised us if you kill a destroyed tank, you get a box with champagne. I thought many truck come all over the Golan Heights, go make champagne. Anyway, I'm confused. A day after that, we moved to Damascus. I built my battalion. We survived 3 tanks in this combat. I built my battalion. We fought close to Damascus. We fought against the Iraqi forces, Saudi forces, Jordanian forces, Moroccan forces, and the Syrian, of course. At the end of this combat, this war, Golani Brigade invaded to the Hermon Mountains. They lost more than 65 soldiers. All of us were crying. In the morning, I saw on the top of the hills Israeli flag and Golani flag. I had tears in my eyes. I was so proud of them. At noon, they called us. They said, they asked for ceasefire. And at night, they sent another battalion to evacuate me. Took a few hours because I didn't know where all my tanks located. And my commander called me and said, leave everything, come immediately to me. I said, no, I can't. Because all the tanks, I couldn't collect all of them. Some of them confused, they moved to surrender. 1 o'clock we arrived, we fall to a big hole. And he came with the jeep, and I said, maybe he's going to send me to another mission. And he told me, go home. I said, why? He said, your brother was killed. I asked him, which one? He said, Emmanuel, that he was married a day before Rosh Hashanah. He was in the middle of honeymoon. I asked, where is my second brother, that he is in my battalion? His name Arnon. He said, we sent him 8 days before back home. All the battalion, your battalion, everybody know what happened to your family, but just you. And I'm sorry, I couldn't send you back. I didn't have anybody to take your job. Before we realized, he said, and the brother of your wife was killed. I asked him, which one? And he said, Ilan Shmaya. He got married a year before, his wife was pregnant. They got a daughter after that on the name Ilana. For my wife, she's here. This is the second brother, was killed during the war. We lost at this war 2,654 soldiers. More than 7,000 badly wounded. And all the time we ask, why? It's happened to us. I know that most of you pray in the synagogue that God protect us. If He asked to destroy the country, He could start the war in Rosh Hashanah. We had vacation for 4 days at that time, and everybody in Israel with the barbecue traveled all over. Try to think about mobilization and all the people from Sharm el-Sheikh, Rosh Hanikra, around the Kinneret, nobody at home. The Soviet Union, they recommend to them to start the war in Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the best day for mobilization. My father and my brother was in the synagogue, and after 6 hours they arrived. During the years, I was a brigade commander, 3-time division commander in our country, and many, many things. I fought again in the Lebanon War, and I arrived to Beirut. Small story, and to end my story. After the war, I was brigade commander in Keren Hayesod. 2 years after that, came to me tank commander, and during the year he was 19 and a half, 20 years old. And he met me and said, Victor, my commander, I came to apologize. I said, what for? He said, to remember that you gave orders to move forward and nobody moved? I said, yes, of course, I remember. I was behind you, I listened to your voice, I saw your tank in number 10, I saw how you used the flag, I listened to your voice, but I didn't join you. But I swear to God, I didn't run away. Ask him, why you didn't? He said, I couldn't even give an order to my driver to move forward. I was so scared, all the crew, but I didn't run away. And I asked him, and what happened after that? He said, I listened to your voice, and you called me chicken. I thought I'm gonna kill you. We fought together for 4 days, you called me chicken? And I screamed to my driver, move forward! And you remember, I was beside your tank, how many shells we shot. Took this commander 19 and a half years old. This is the secret weapon in our country. No tank, no ship, no aircraft. The man, the people, the spirit of those people. He said that he didn't run away because nobody thought there is a way to run away. Like my father didn't teach me. And we have 3 children, 2 boys, tank commander, one of them, the father of Roten, he's a major in the Armored Corps. And we have a daughter, she served in the Armored Corps. And her sister just served in the Armored Corps, they finished the service 2 years ago. There is no way to run away. We don't call it run away. We said we move back to find another position to shoot. This is a joke. And he joined me because he feels shame. He feels shame. The moment that the Jewish nation all over the world want to feel shame to support the country, we will lose the country. Feel shame. And everybody should feel shame. It doesn't matter where he lives. Because we have one capital, in Jerusalem. We have one land belong to us. It's Israel. I grew up with the story, with a picture from Holocaust. When I was in the 1st grade, I look at that and I say, how come? How come? And I tell you, I was minister, I'm not look like a minister, yeah, okay, but I was. Minister of Public Security, Interior Security. I met Arafat twice, he fell in love with me. Because I am handsome. And I met Abu Mazen few times, and he was in our home. And I gave him a hand and said, let's have this. They smiled. Many pictures. All the newspaper. I didn't bring you peace. Why? They don't like me. Not me personally, my mother, she should tell me that I'm a very nice person. They don't like us. Don't like us. The hatred is so deep in the Middle East. We don't trust them. And I know. I'm ready for peace. I fought many times for the country. My kids, they are soldiers. My grandchildren, they're gonna be soldiers. Wrote them, she's here, she volunteered to come here to support to the community, and we very proud. Give her a hand to Rotem.